Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Catalina Gillies.
And I'm Ryan Bonazzo. Thunder Bay City Council has decided to greatly expand the number of spectators allowed in city arenas.
Council members have been hearing loud and clear from the hockey community that 45 spectators was simply not enough. But despite the vote, city staff say they will have a hard time implementing the changes. Corey Nordstrom reports.
And Councillor Pugnew.
Yes.
That's carried.
A 10-2 vote at Monday night's meeting was exactly what the hockey community was demanding. All 5 of the city's satellite arenas will switch from a 45-person capacity limit to 50% of available seats in a range that stretches from 94 people to 308. The motion was brought forward by Albert Aiello.
As a city, we have earned it. We need to continue to be diligent, follow the rules, work with the hockey organization, and let's enjoy our children on the ice.
The topic was debated for roughly 3 hours as council heard strong opinions from citizens. Deputant Lex MacArthur spoke for many in the hockey community, including extended family who miss out on watching games with the current capacity limits.
1 spectator per participant is insufficient. The arenas build community. They are the lifeblood of a city.
City staff preferred that council hold off on making any changes, saying that user groups will only fill the rinks on special occasions.
Consult with our user groups to define those bookings where we really need to go above 45, the current guideline, and that work is in process. We expect to be getting responses by the end of this week.
Administration is looking to redirect some seasonal employees, given the likelihood that more staffing will be needed at arenas. They're also in talks with the fire department on creating secondary exits to reduce the amount of people converging in common areas. And the price of added staffing will not be covered by higher levels of government.
The Safe Restart funding that we have received and in 2020 and carried into 2021 has been fully accounted for.
More info on implementing the capacity changes will be provided at next Monday's council session, but Robertson doesn't think this is something they can start overnight.
If I was going to give a rough estimate, I'd say about a month.
Corey Nordstrom, TBC News.
Some potential upgrades on Highway 61 south of Arthur Street were also brought to City Council's attention last night. The Ministry of Transportation is in the planning and preliminary design phase for a 9-kilometer stretch of the highway from the Thunder Bay Airport to Loch Lomond Road. 3 intersections would be rebuilt under the plan, with a number of alternative design options brought forward. Nebing Ward Councillor Cody Fraser was curious whether this will impact plans for the Northwest Arterial on the north side.
Is there any indication that this project would be linked in any way to the Northwest Arterial plans coming out of the MTO for the remainder of the Thunder Bay Expressway heading east?
The Northwest Arterial is part of a separate project itself. Thunder Bay Expressway project is a little bit more advanced right now than this project is right here. We have our EA complete over on that section. For this one, we'll be moving towards the completion of the EA process and the consultation and the study here.
Online public consultation for the project will run for 2 weeks, starting on October 4th.
A 37-year-old motorist has been charged after his truck brushed up against 2 cyclists on the highway in Shunya yesterday evening. According to Ontario Provincial Police, the incident happened along Highway 1117 near Lakeshore Drive. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt, but the driver has been charged with failing to turn out to avoid a collision.
There's been a big jump in the vaccination numbers across the Thunder Bay district. About 3,500 people rolled up their sleeve last week. That's the highest weekly total since late July. Nearly 1,200 of last week's shots were first doses. According to the Ministry of Health, almost 91% of the eligible population in the district has now received at least 1 shot, and more than 84% are fully vaccinated. Those numbers are both second best among Ontario's 34 health units. Meanwhile, there are 2 new COVID-19 cases today. One is related to travel outside of northwestern Ontario. The other exposure source is still unknown. There are now 4 active cases across the district, 1 more than on Monday. Over in the Northwestern Health Unit, there's a new infection in the Dryden-Red Lake region. There are now 5 active cases in the NWHU catchment area. Northwestern Health Unit officials are also warning of an increased COVID-19 risk in the Emo area. There have been a number of cases there over the past few weeks, and health officials believe there may be more that haven't been reported. They're urging people in that area to avoid large gatherings, especially indoors. Anyone with symptoms is reminded to immediately self-isolate and arrange to be tested as soon as possible.
New modeling is out on COVID-19 in Ontario, and there's some cautious optimism. Data suggests the province's 4th wave has flattened due to continued public health measures and vaccination. Colin DeMello explains.
Definitely. I mean, this is one of the most positive pictures that we've seen coming out of the Science Advisory Table. They're saying that Ontario's 4th wave is largely flattening, and that is primarily due to the vaccinations and due to public health measures in Ontario still being in place. Cases among young people. We've heard in this province that this is now the pandemic of the unvaccinated. There are still roughly around 2 million people who are eligible for the vaccine who have yet to receive it. But there are, hundreds of thousands of young children between the ages of 5 and 11 who aren't eligible for the vaccine. They're back in class. We're starting to see some outbreaks in schools, some classes closing due to the Delta variant spreading there, and that is concerning. So per 100,000 people, those 5 to 11 now represent the highest, in terms of the increases in terms of cases. So that definitely is going to be a trend to watch and a trend of concern for a lot of parents in this province. The Science Advisory Table is saying, listen, the medium case scenario is under 2,000 cases per day, in the next couple of months. They're still saying there is fragility in the fall. Things are not all rosy, that things could go sideways if public health measures are loosened, and there's no indication that's going to happen in Ontario. But the Chief Medical Officer of Health is looking all the way beyond the fall. He's looking into the winter, and he's saying that there is modeling that he's seen that has predicted January and February we could see some increases due to primarily people gathering over the Christmas holiday. So, he's saying when it comes to vaccine certificates in Ontario, they're going to be around until at least the spring. So the province is not out of the woods just yet.
A local initiative to honor missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls that was launched by a Thunder Bay police officer is gaining attention across the country ahead of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on Thursday. As you may remember, we first told you about Constable Charlene Bordeaux's Tree of Hope project nearly 2 years ago. CTV's Donna Sound provides an update.
Each light represents the name of every missing and murdered Indigenous woman and girl in the country.
Thousands of red lights cover these trees, honoring and bringing awareness to the more than 5,000 who have been murdered or are still missing. The Tree of Hope project was created by Police Constable Charlene Bordeaux. She's a member of the Plays Platte First Nation.
Good afternoon.
With 28 years on the Thunder Bay Police Force, she has played a critical role in bridging the gap between First Nations people and police.
And these are the awareness ribbons that are going to be given out to the public.
The project was initially going to be a fundraising campaign to encourage people to come forward with any information. Crime Stoppers currently offers a $2,000 reward to people who call in with a tip that leads to an arrest.
The original idea was to increase the payout to $50,000.
But she found out that amount isn't even enough.
You know what they make off of women and human trafficking? Over $200,000. So is somebody willing to come forward for $50,000 when their identity has to be changed?
To solve these cases, every bit of information can help.
Sometimes the police are just waiting for 1 or 2 small pieces of evidence.
Coralie McGuire is an advocate for Indigenous women and girls.
We have to look at breaking down this normalized violence that's projected against Indigenous women and girls everywhere, because it's so normalized that people don't even realize they're doing it.
Prime example, Danita Big Eagle went missing in 2007. She was 22 years old. She's still missing. There was little to no media coverage. At the Tree of Hope, though, she and so many others are far from forgotten.
By us lighting the trees here, we are ready to reconciliate, and that's why we've offered an olive branch.
There's talk of expanding this initiative to other police forces. Donna Sound, CTV News, Thunder Bay.
The second annual Integrity Tour proved to be a major fundraising success for a local camp that provides outdoor experiences to kids touched by cancer. The charity motorcycle ride from Thunder Bay to Silver Islet took place on September 12th, raising money for Camp Quality. Organizers had been hoping to raise $10,000 at the event, hosted by Halfway Motor Power Sports, but instead the Integrity Tour managed to more than double its goal. Event founder Jeremy Hanukkah presented the camp with a check yesterday for $23,000. Camp director Samantha Stovall was blown away and very thankful for the community's generosity.
This is phenomenal. This amount is nothing that I expected. Jeremy and his team did a wonderful event and brought in a lot of people to make this number grow. Our initial goal of $10,000 has definitely been exceeded, and we can't thank the community and the organizers for doing such a great job.
I'm absolutely stoked. It was great. Without the participation from everybody involved, the community, the sponsors, everybody who came together to make this happen, we wouldn't have been able to do it this big. So moving forward, next year we're going to do it bigger. Next year we're going to do it bigger, and that number is just going to keep growing. So.
Hanukkah adds he's looking forward to once again exceeding expectations next year when the Integrity Tour returns on July 16th of 2022.
To help celebrate the beginning of fall, the owners of Mount Baldy Ski Hill are preparing to host the first annual Fall Colors Festival this weekend, and there's a celebrity guest on tap for opening day. Carrie James, who plays Caleb O'Dell on the popular TV series Heartland, will be available for a meet and greet at the Hill on Saturday. Attendees are invited to bring their own horse for a ride around the trails and a chance to win prizes throughout the day. Tickets are available at the gate. Then on Sunday, guests are encouraged to bring their dogs to take part in the festival's dog walk. Several local food vendors will be on site all weekend, allowing patrons to grab a bite while they enjoy the amazing views and fall colors. Co-owner Dan Carta says he's thrilled to welcome guests.
Well, I figured I'd give back to all the crazy horse lovers like myself and give us something to do in these beautiful days like this, and all these colors you can see, and the views are amazing. And it seems like there's a lot of interest, and a lot of the horseback riders and the dog community are interested in doing something new and different here in Thunder Bay, considering we'll be all on lockdown for such a long time. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully we can keep this going as the seasons go on.
Carta says he hopes to see the Fall Colors Festival grow each year. He plans to have live musicians and even more activities next year.
The Thunder Bay and District Humane Society recently wrapped up its 40 Cats in 40 Days campaign with an initial goal of finding forever homes for 40 cats and kittens. And this week, organizers were thrilled to announce they had well exceeded that goal. In total, 161 cats and kittens were adopted during the campaign to loving families. Executive Director for the Humane Society, Shauna Beaulieu, says she's so thankful for how the community stepped up for these animals in need.
We're incredibly thankful. I mean, we're super blessed, and we're grateful that everyone's been so flexible. So with the change of the way that we've been operating, going to a contactless model, particularly for kittens, and everyone adapting to that and being so understanding and willing to adopt a kitten without necessarily coming in and viewing it has been incredibly helpful and has been a lot more efficient.
Even with the great success of the campaign, there are still 57 cats and kittens at the Humane Society shelter looking for homes. Beaulieu urges anyone interested in adopting or fostering to reach out, and the staff at the Humane Society will do their best to match you with the best furry companion.
Well, hopefully they can find